Hello, guys. What's up? Welcome to the live. Gonna make sure real quick this is live on Instagram as well. That we're good, that we're rolling. Welcome on in, guys. Today's live stream is super value packed. I cannot wait to dive in. Are we live? Are we live? So I'm working with this new streaming software right now where I'm still trying to figure out how it works. Am I live on Instagram right now? Am I not live? I don't know. I don't think so. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Okay. Here we are. Hey, guys. Welcome into the live stream today. Welcome on in, everyone. So today's live stream is going to be on how we can always feel the light. Okay, this is a huge topic. We're going to dive into the Kabbalah. We're going to talk about how can we actually remove negativity, remove these blockages from our soul. And this topic is so valuable. It's so important because as we learn in Kabbalah, the light is always shining in our lives, but we cannot always see it. And today we're going to talk about why that is. We're going to talk about a Kabbalistic concept called kipot. We're going to talk about what even is kipot, how do we create these kipot, these blockages, and how can we recognize, cleanse, and remove them so that we can receive the light. Now, before I preface and begin this live stream, I want to welcome you all in and thank you so much for being here, joining me live today. This is my second live stream that I'm ever doing. And I'm live on Instagram and I'm live on YouTube. So let's jump right in. I want to just let you guys know where I drew this inspiration from. Now, I kind of spoke a lot about Kabbalah on my last live stream, but let me turn this off. There we go. I spoke about Kabbalah on my last live stream. So you guys can go back and watch if you want to get like a full scope of like what Kabbalah is, a little more of a breakdown. And I am planning to do a video in the near future, like breaking it all down so you guys can get the full scope. But a lot of the inspiration for this live stream in particular and like all of the topics that I'm going to be talking about, I drew from David Guillaume, who is one of the amazing, great teachers and leaders at the Kabbalah Center. And I've been learning from him for the past like 6 years. And I've taken his Kabbalah 1 class like probably like 10 times at this point, honestly. So I'm just giving him a huge shout out. If you guys are new to Kabbalah, the wisdom of Kabbalah, there's a beautiful Kabbalah 1 course. If you go to Kabbalah1.com, you guys can check out that course. I think it's donation based. You could just donate, take the course, and it's a great foundational way to learn Kabbalah and learn about how to tune into these energies. And honestly, like my goal and my role with sharing Kabbalah and Kabbalistic concepts is that I really take this ancient wisdom, right? This wisdom's like 3,000 years old, and it decodes the Old Testament and it teaches us how the wisdom is not meant to be taken as like literal history lessons, but rather it's meant to be symbolic of the energies that exist in the world today. So my role, the way that I feel my part plays in all of this is I love to make it just super practical, super tangible for our world, for our generation, and to really just have you gain so much value and understand like not only what the concept is, but how can it practically apply into your life in different circumstances and different events, like when challenges actually come up, how can we move through them? And my goal is to really reach the masses with this message and have people know like this is not just for like super spiritual minded people. This is for everyone. Okay. The wisdom of Kabbalah is not exclusive to just one group of people. This is a universal wisdom that I love to talk about and I love to share about on my channel and on my Instagram and all of that. So, coming back to the concept of this video, Kabbalah and the concept of kipot. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we have this general assumption in spirituality. We know this to be true, and specifically Kabbalah teaches us that the light of the creator, Kabbalah calls the creator God the light, okay? The light is shining on us all the time. There is never a moment where there is not light in our life, when there is not unconditional love being spread upon us, when there is not full and complete goodness surrounding us all the time. So, of course, this naturally raises up the question, if Kabbalah teaches us every single second the light of the creator is here, where's it at though? Like, why am I not experiencing it all the time if it's here all the time? Why don't I feel my soul all the time? If mind and body are connected and the light is always in my life and I'm supposed to be receiving everything I desire, which Kabbalah says we are. This is the teaching of Kabbalah, is the teaching of how can we receive the ultimate fulfillment. If this is why we're here, where is it? Where is the light? Why isn't it in our life? Why can't I feel my soul all the time? What is blocking me? Right? If it was true, like, isn't it true that the creator would, like, I would feel the creator every second? Like, why are we not feeling the creator? We have ebbs and flows. We have light and dark. It isn't just always light, although this is the fundamental concept of what spiritual teachings teach us and what Kabbalah specifically teaches us. And the answer to this, the reason that we aren't disconnected from our soul, the reason we're not experiencing the totality of the light all the time, is because of this Kabbalistic concept that is called kipot. Now, what is kipot? What even is it? And what does it represent? So kipot are like, the best way I can explain it is like these energetic curtains that are blocking us from seeing the light. And we're going to break down, how do we create them? How do we remove them? All of that. But let's just talk about what it is first. So these energetic blockages, think about it like the sun, okay? The sun in the solar system, it's always shining on us, right? There is never a moment, I think we can all agree on this, where the sun just turns off, where the sun is not shining in our lives. We may not feel it. I might have different layers and curtains or blockages from seeing the sunlight, and I can make it dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, or I can make it brighter and brighter and brighter. For example, in this room that I'm in, I'm probably in the darkest room there is. I have many different curtains, you could say, like theoretical shells or layers, let's say layers, that are blocking me from seeing the sun. And that's a good thing, right? Because if the sun was shining directly in my eyes, my vessel wouldn't be able to handle that light. But then again, if, let's say, there was just like a window and a curtain blocking me from the sun, I could still see the sun, yeah, but it's like, it's not like in my face. I still see the sun's there. I kind of feel the sun is there, but it's not like, I don't have direct access to that light. But if I remove one curtain, I remove the window, I get closer to the sun, yeah, I'm going to experience the sun more. I'm going to experience that energy of the light in my life a lot more. So this is what the concept of kipot is. Our soul is always connected to the light. But there are curtains, there are blockages, there are different layers that we need to remove, different curtains we need to uncover that will unconceal the concealed light that is always around us. So kipot are these negative shells that surround our soul and conceal the light that we are meant to reveal. So the reason we have these curtains is so that we can remove them, we can reveal them. So it's really this blockage and this separation between us and the creator. Okay. And with how are we creating these kipot? First of all, like attracts like. So when we think about the creator, we think about the light. What is the light? The light is unconditional love, unconditional sharing, unconditional light, forgiveness, positivity, happiness, like unification, unity consciousness, right? When we're not feeling these ways, we're disconnected from the light. When we're not acting like the light, we will not attract the light. Like attracts like. So when we have any sadness, any anger, these are things that create kipot. And there's actually, I was just watching a video on kipot on Kabbalah 1. Actually, I think it was Kabbalah 2. This is like a deeper concept even than like the baseline of Kabbalah 1. We're actually on level 2 now. But what there are 3 different types of kipot, that ways that we can create kipot, okay? So the 3 ways that we create these kipot, aka once again these blockages, these energetic blockages that stop our bodies from experiencing the totality of our soul. Here are the 3 ways that we create kipot. Number 1 is that we are born with certain kipot that are based on our past lifetimes. So a lot of the baggage that we come into this world with, the curtains that are blocking our souls from the light, they're actually not created necessarily by us now, and we don't fully have full control over every single baggage that we come into this world with. But we can overcome it, and we're going to get to that. But just know that there are some fears, there are some insecurities, there also are some sadness that are kind of like ingrained into the blueprint of who we are and how we came into this life. And this is creating blockages that block us from achieving the full totality of our soul, from feeling this way. So number 1 is past lives. Number 2 is actually the present time reactive behaviors that we do. So these are kipot that we actually create. It's like we're actually adding curtains throughout our life, through our selfish behavior, through acting reactive, through hurting other people, through acting not like the light. By not learning the lessons our soul came here for, we're like adding another theoretical curtain, metaphorical curtain, to the metaphorical layers that are blocking us from the sun. Okay? From the light itself, from the light constantly shining into our lives. So to recap, we create kipot by number 1, our past lives. So these are things we cannot control. Number 2 is our present time reactive behaviors. How are we reacting, and how are we on our soul's journey of learning what we came here for? Okay, number 3, the third way that we create kipot, that we are blocking ourselves from the light, is through the negative things that actually happen to us. Okay? The traumas, the people hurting us, the negativity, holding on to that negativity, not forgiving ourselves, not forgiving others, holding on to grudges, having these things that actually happen to us. These also create kipot. These are ways that we feel like we lose the light and we lose energy. So the way that it was described is that the kipot are like spiritual parasites that are eating inside of us, and they're taking our light, they're taking our energy away from us. And we lost this light due to all these reasons that we just said, from past lives, from reactive behaviors, or from negative things that have happened to us. These are ways that we lose light, that we lose energy. But when we don't deal with our kipot, when we don't deal with our negativity, it becomes so much harder to change, because just like parasites that are living in our system that control us, right? Just like when you have actual parasites, this is like an example Guillaume said, when you have actual parasites, you can't really control your cravings that much. Like, you're going to want to crave extra carbs, you're going to crave sugar, you're going to crave toxic foods that are not good for you, but it's not really you that's desiring it. It's not your body, it's the parasites, it's the things that are outside of our control. So it's the same thing with our kipot, with this negativity that we have around our soul. When we don't deal with it, it will eat at our light. It will eat at us. Okay? And it will control us at the end of the day. Like, we think that it's us that's desiring this instant gratification. We will think it's us that is wanting to get into things that are going to give us temporary energy, but not really fulfill us in the long term. We think that's us. We blame ourselves. But really, it's these blockages, it's these curtains that we cannot see the true totality of who we are. And eventually what happens when enough times we feel like something is us and we start identifying with this way of believing and thinking, we start actually thinking the kipot is us, and we take that on as a subconscious belief system. And then we go out into life and start living our life in this way. And we start manifesting things based on the kipot, based on the blockages on our soul. And when something becomes a belief system, that's what we're going to see being reflected back to us, because we start to identify with our negativity rather than identifying with our light. We start to think we are our kipot. We start to think we are the ego, the negativity, because the light that is inside of us, the kipot, is like sucking out. So how can we actually overcome and start to remove and detoxify from these kipot? The number one thing, hold on, I'm just getting a call here. Give me a second, guys. Okay. Perfect. Okay, sorry. Back to what I was saying. How can we observe and remove our kipot? Number one way to remove these negative curtains, these negative blockages, is to observe them and to see them. What are those things that are actually blocking us from our souls? We have to be able to observe when these triggers come up, see it instead as like this burden and this dread, like I'm dealing with this negativity and like it's controlling me. Actually start to say to yourself, this is actually an opportunity for me to look at my negativity, because through the observance, through not avoidance, through facing it and realizing that you are the creator of your reality, you are actively actually removing the negativity and you're removing these kipot from your soul. And this is why they even say that crying is a form of releasing this energy and actually helps you to remove these energetic curtains and remove these kipot. Okay. When we have these kipot that are built up, all we want to do is feed it. We want to feed it with more lack, with with more instant gratification, right? But the way that we detox from these kipot is very similar to the way that we would want to remove any addiction in our life. And this is really where the spiritual work is day by day allowing yourself to actually be in that space and look at the void, look at that lack, look at that emptiness and pain. And it's so hard because we don't see the light at the end of it. We think, okay, this is it. I feel this pain, like this is who I am. We identify with the kipot and these blockages. But we are not these kipot. So by observing them, we're actually not feeding them power. We're actually taking away its power, because we're looking at our shit, we're facing it, and we're saying that I can actually have the power here to overcome you. I am able to overcome this negativity that is surrounding my soul and blocking me from seeing the complete totality of the light. Okay. Let me just check in with the chat here. Welcome in, guys. Okay. Still getting used to the setup and like how to actually use this streaming platform. So bear with me, guys. I'm going to be a pro by the end of this month. Don't you worry. Okie dokie. All right. Now I want to talk about like how are some practical ways that we can actually look at our life and look at our kipot and actively remove them. Like this sounds like cool, like nice fluffy ideas, but like how are we actually practically going about removing this negativity? How does it actually show up in my life? How am I supposed to go about this? Like this is what I'm going to dive into right now. And like I said before, the number one key to removing kipot is identifying its existence. So how will our kipot show up to us? How will our baggage, our tikkun, show up for us? Which, by the way, tikkun is a correction, right? It's like things repeating in our lives. It's cycles that repeat over and over and over again in our lives. That is our soul's correction and mission for being here. That is a tikkun. What the difference is between tikkun and a klipot is the actual blockage, like the actual curtain that is in the way. It's like the physical curtain that is blocking us from the light. So it's like the klipot is like the what we have to actively work at removing to move towards correcting our tikkun. The tikkun is the correction itself. The tikkun is why we are here on earth in the first place. And I believe not next week, but the week after that, I'm going to dive into the concept of tikkuns, which is our soul's purpose. Why are we here? Okay, what is our purpose for being here, and creating the sense of purpose within ourselves and understanding our mission here and why we are on this earth, what we came to overcome, all of that. So stay tuned. I believe next week's topic, we're going to like set some intentions for the new month ahead. So that will be something else. But for the week after that, it will be on the topic of tikkun. But anyway, back to the kipot. So the trigger is the kipot, but really how this will show up in our lives is there will be someone who will come up to us and people will like point it out to us. Like the way that the creator actually speaks to us in this life is through other people. So most likely someone's going to say something to you that you don't like. And our natural tendency or natural ways is that we're going to become reactive, defensive, and triggered, right? I mean, that's normal. Someone says something to you that you don't like, you're going to get triggered, you're going to get reactive. But it's in this trigger that we actually get to the root of our klipot. This is why I say it's an opportunity. Because ultimately, when somebody is coming to us and telling us something we don't want to hear, there's always a message in there for us. But our ego mind always wants to say, no, it's not me. Never place the blame on myself. Because why? That hurts. That means I actually have to self-reflect and like actually feel the pain of what you're saying to me right now. And usually to add on top of that, we're not just rejecting the message, but we're rejecting the message because of the messenger that it's coming from. So because your mom says something to you, or because your brother who you have a bad relationship says something to you or pushes your buttons, we don't want to hear the message because it's coming from them. But what we need to get good at is taking the message away from the messenger and understand that the creator, the universe, is always speaking to us through the people in our lives that are closest to us. And it doesn't necessarily mean that what the person is saying is true. Okay, this is very, very important. It means that you need to pay close attention to what exactly is triggering you within what that person is saying, because it's within the trigger that we're going to be able to understand what our tikkun is, what the process is that we need to overcome. This trigger is actually what this kipot is. The more you overcome these kipot, the more you overcome these triggers, the more light that you can bring not only to yourself, like you're not only like removing these curtains so you can access the light, so you can receive blessings, but you're also then impacting other people, you're impacting the world, because everything feeds on itself. It's like this cycle. There's a difference between instant gratification and infinite receiving in this life. And in my last live stream, I spoke about what is the difference between a limited desire and an unlimited desire. You guys can watch my last video on Kabbalah and manifestation. This was the last live stream I hosted last Friday. And in this video, I shared how we can have two types of desires. It's either limited, meaning it ends with me. It's instant gratification. I want to make myself feel good in this moment. Therefore, I'm going to do XYZ. I'm going to like express myself and outburst in anger, or I'm going to go to this substance, or I'm going to go back to this person, or I'm going to react negatively, or whatever the thing is that we're running to, some addiction to food, to alcohol. Like these are all ways that we try to numb ourselves from feeling the pain. And we want to attract things into our life that are instant gratification desires. But what we don't realize that is limited desire. This isn't just like trying to be spiritual and trying to like connect. It's like truly, if you want to receive it all, why limit yourself to only having it end with you or with instant gratification? Ultimately, when we're desiring to manifest something, we want it to be like an infinite desire. And if we're connected to the creator, that is infinite. The creator is by nature infinite. That is its essence. So the more we act like the creator, we are tuned into the creator, the more we're actually able to call in unlimited blessings. We're limiting ourselves by saying, I need this specific thing in this specific way by this specific time. Why? Because we're going to feel good for a moment when we get it, but then instantly we're going to crash and burn. And we crash and burn because it's not real. It's instant. And this is the kipot. This is something that is actually blocking our soul. It's like an illusion as to what we think the light is. We think that this desire that we're trying to manifest is going to bring us to the light. That's our true nature and desire and wanting to even manifest this. But we're not realizing that this is not, that we're blinded. We have these curtains. We can't see the full truth. The light is there, but we're not able to access our true desires because of this process. So back to the practical example, back to when someone is telling you something you do not want to hear, you start getting defensive, triggered, reactive. All of these things are completely valid. But if we do not take the lesson from it, we do not grow from it, we do not somehow introspect and ask ourselves, not necessarily if this is true, what they're saying, but how am I being reactive to it? Because the way that I'm reacting to the trigger, that is our tikkun. That is the klipot. That is exactly what it is that is blocking us from our blessing. It's showing us our real subconscious beliefs at the end of the day, right? Like our subconscious beliefs will manifest in the way that we're reactive to people, in the way that we respond to situations. So we really need to rethink this whole process of receiving messages. And these triggers, when somebody says something to us that we get reactive to, we need to understand that these are only happening because it's reflecting to us something inside of our own soul, our own tikkun, our own blockage, our own klipot. When we become aware, someone starts talking to us about the things that we don't like about ourselves, and we start getting reactive, instead of blaming the other person, because that's a natural thing we want to do, like use our ego, blame the other person, external all the time. But what we need to do is actually ask ourselves the question, like, what am I really meant to learn here? What is my correction in this process? Why are these cycles repeating in my life? Because if I don't look at that and I don't understand what is blocking me, and I don't see where my triggers are and how my triggers are really just a manifestation of my subconscious beliefs. If I'm not seeing that, I won't be able to overcome it and get to my next level and really attract the blessings that I am trying to call in to my life. Let's say, for example, like I'm going to use some random example, like your brother calls you fat. Okay, let's use that example. And maybe you don't take it seriously because you're like, number one, it's rude and hurtful. Why should we take something like that seriously? But also, sorry guys, I got distracted by a message popped in here. Okay. What was I saying? Okay. When somebody comes to you and gives you a triggering message, we usually deflect the message because we think that person is wrong, right? We think they're wrong, or it's insulting, or it's hurtful. We shouldn't take on the message as if it's true, but we should look deeper and ask ourselves, what is it within me? Why am I judging myself? Where am I creating this negativity within myself that it's now being reflected externally? This person is just the messenger to me to reflect to me my own subconscious beliefs and ideas. Okay, let me check in with the chat here. Welcome in if you guys are new. Howard says, maybe this is off your exact topic, but why does this work this way in the first place? Why do we have klipot? Why do we have tikkun? That's a great question. Thank you so much, Howard. Why do we have this process as human beings? The reason is because our soul came into this life to transform and to grow and to overcome our negativity. Ultimately, we're here to receive the ultimate life. We're here to receive the ultimate fulfillment. The reason we want to remove these klipot is because we want to get to the light. We want to feel the totality. We want to feel everything. We don't just want to be limited to what I think my desires are and my limited desires, and I think this is what I want, but I don't know, is this really going to bring me fulfillment? When we start removing these blockages from the light, the totality of the light, we're going to receive so much more fulfillment. Ultimately, we're going to get closer with our soul's purpose and potential. We're going to start calling in so much more blessings, so many more opportunities. We're going to manifest quicker. We're going to live ultimately happier and more fulfilled lives. So, thank you so much for your question, Howard. And honestly, like, the spiritual work is hard because it always comes back to us, right? We think that everything is happening out there external to us. But the truth is, like, we need to actually self reflect and dig deep and ask ourselves, why is this actually in my reality, in my movie? Because everything is a reflection of our subconscious beliefs and patterns, right? So, like, our nature is to blame everyone else, to blame the external circumstances, to always put like life itself down, when we have to be able to look in the mirror and ask ourselves, why is this here in my reality, in my movie? So, thank you guys so much for being here in today's live stream. I hope you got value from it. If you have any questions, I'm going to leave the floor open for a few minutes. Fatma on Instagram says, hi, so good to see you. So good to see you too. Thanks for being here, Fatma. Thank you, Howard. I'm going to leave the floor open for like a minute. If there's any questions regarding this topic of kipot, of tikkun, of Kabbalah, of anything else that you'd like to ask, I'll leave it open for just another minute. And then, yeah, just so you guys know too, like, I'm doing these live streams every Friday. I might change the day, I'm not sure exactly, but as of right now, it's going to be on Fridays. I'm trying to get more used to being on camera live and actually being like, okay, I have to like just flow and speak from my heart. So, and really just connect with you guys as well, like hear from you guys live, be in your energies live. Like, this is something I would love to just accelerate in my progress as well. So thanks for being here. Make sure you're tuning in every single Friday. Cannot wait to have you guys joining live. Like, honestly, you guys being live in the room as well, it adds so much energy to the room. It adds such a different vibe and energy that is like very different than just like speaking to a camera, talking alone. You know what I mean? Fatma says, how can we step back and not victimize ourselves? It's a beautiful question. Thank you. So ultimately, when we are victimizing ourselves and we're saying, you know, the outside world is a problem, I am the victim of the circumstances, what we're really saying to ourselves is, I don't trust the creator, right? We're saying there's something wrong in this system. Like, I'm a victim of this because I don't believe that this is for my best good. I don't believe that what's happening in my reality is actually meant to further me on my journey. Therefore, I'm a victim of it. But when we switch that perspective to say, no, like being able to see in that triggering moment, like when we do go in, and we all go there, right? And like, I'm not like this holy above saint that's like, I never feel victimized. Of course, we all do, right? But it's about being in those moments, like when we are feeling triggered and victimized, that we're able to recognize and say, like, okay, I don't know exactly why or how this is meant to elevate me on my journey. I don't know how this is here to actually bring me what I desire, but this is here for a purpose. This is here so that I can get to my soul's next level. So I can, because the creator ultimately wants for me what I want for myself. The creator wants ultimate fulfillment for us. So when we're saying that what's happening in our life is wrong and that I'm a victim to it, we're saying I don't trust the creator. So how can we begin to trust the creator more? Trust the circumstances in our lives are working out perfectly, exactly the way that they are meant to. So stepping back is like when a reactive situation comes in and we get triggered and somebody, let's say like somebody's being negative to us and saying something negative to our face, and we want to get triggered, we want to get victimized. We switch it in that moment to say, how is this like if I pretend this person is not saying this to me right now, how can I switch to actually seeing the opportunity in this? And as cheesy as that sounds, we can find an opportunity in everything. We can see how can all the different paths and ways that we can respond. And that's what this life ultimately is about. It's about our choices. And what choices are we making in our day-to-day life? We don't take our choices seriously because it feels like, oh, it's such a small thing. Like, it's energetic. We don't feel the immediate effects of our actions and our intentions. So because of that, we don't see like how the energy is manifesting in our lives. We don't think it's that important to not be reactive. We don't think that our energy is that important. But we have to understand it is so important because it's manifesting in everything in our experience. Fatma says, wow, so it's so beautiful to see life in this way. Yes, yes. And it's a practice, right? Like, this isn't like, it's not something you are like, oh, I want to clear all my kipot and all the blockages. Boom, there we go. It's gone. It's out of my existence. Like, no, we're not all of a sudden like have the desire to remove our blockages and we're clear. This is a process. This is us looking at our stuff, identifying it every day, because ultimately this is why we're here. Right? This is like, Howard, to go back to your question, like, why does the world work in this way? Why are these laws in place? It's because we're here for this process. We're here on earth. If we're like back to zoom into our big picture, and again, we're going to speak about this in 2 weeks when we talk about the tikkun. But like, why are we actually here on earth? It's to go through this process. So we do see our shit and all the baggage, and we have to face uncomfortable things. And it's like, we're really here in like a battle in a way. And it doesn't always have to be this way. And we're going to, the more we uncover layers, the more we're going to feel more fulfillment and the truth of reality. That doesn't mean the problems are all gone, because then our ego is always going to come back up to our level. So it's never like the work is never over. However, we can start to completely shift the way that our current paradigm is, the current way that we view reality. I'm sure right now, if you're watching this, you're probably a spiritual person to some extent and have been working on yourself, and you've already been seeing changes in your reality. Now think about how different of a person you are today than you were 5 years ago. That is because you chose to look at the things coming up for you and actively grow and learn from them. Because you chose different actions in your life that led you to be a completely different person. So we need to remember these kind of changes. We have to actually put our focus and attention on how did we change for the better? Because the more we put our focus on how we've changed for the better, we're able to pull from those memories so we can remember when now we're faced with a triggering situation, we can see, oh, I see now how much my choices matter, how much my choices affect me. And if I make a different choice in this moment, I'm going to be a completely different person in 5 years from now than I am today. But it's like this thinking is so not normal for people because people want things now. They want things instant. And this is actually the problem. This is the problem with manifestation too, is like we want it now, this second. I have no patience. I don't care about my soul's process or all these things. Like this is a bit of a problem, because at the end of this life, like we're only here for a short while. At the end of our life, we are going to have to face it. So if we don't face it now, we're going to face it later. This is just the choice we have to make. And because we are conscious of these things, because you are here and absorbing this information and learning it and actively aware of it, it's a part of our responsibility here to look at what's coming up for us and to actively go into it and feel that pain. And again, the spiritual work is hard. It's not easy to do all these things that I'm talking about, to remove these layers. But I promise you, on the other side of this is so much beauty. Okay. Fatma, I love your videos. Thank you so much, Fatma. Thank you for being here. Okay. So I'm going to end off this live stream now. Thank you so much for tuning in. And make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel if you're not already. And make sure you're tuning in every Friday where I'm going to be going live. You guys can also comment on this video, any suggestions you have, any other live streams you want to see from me. I'm hoping to just get better and better at it as we go along. You know, I'm still learning. I'm still on my process, but we're doing it. We're pushing outside the comfort zone and doing new things. So that's all for me today. I love you guys so much, and I'll see ya in my next one. Bye. Make sure you're coming next week to set our April intentions. Okay, bye. Mwah.